Probably will. Maybe I'll shorten this up. I don't know. We shall see. Another minute. I don't want to be spoiled anything. There we go. All right. A corner of Cross Connexia, a town inhabited by machine Digimon. Among the environment of dense forests, canyons, and snow-capped mountains covering most of the land, this town was an anomaly. Yet the travelers who visited never felt disharmony between this place and the surroundings. The patchwork of tin scraps created by the Digimon across generations was both as organic and irregular as ivy growing in forests or cacti standing in deserts. The steel, rusted machine oil in the town were indeed natural. And now a girl's shouts of joy rippled through the air, tainted with the scent of oil. Rui and Suzune! Hey, we're finally all back together. I'm glad you're safe, Yuki. The debugger Yuki waved wildly with a smile on her face, while her teammates Ryoto Williams and Suzune Kazuki smiled back. Behind them were their partners Frigimon and Tyrannomon, who were happy to be reunited after several days of traveling. Thank goodness, I was totally panicked, like, whoa, when no one was there. I seriously thought it was 100% doomed when I heard that everyone got separated. But we managed to find our way back together, all thanks to your genius idea. It was awesome how you told us where you were by using the booming audio of the rock festival. Yep, it was super effective. Next to Yuki was getting all bashful from the shower of compliments was her partner Itmon sighing. Holding a once-generation rock festival to reunite everyone scattered across Connexia was certainly an unconventional plan, or rather an absurd one, according to Itmon. However, the festival succeeded in its aim, leaving Itmon with mixed feelings of relief at the reunion and disappointment at not getting to see Yuki's tearful face and say, "I told you so." As an aside, it's worth noting that Itmon had the time of its life during the concert. Don't flatter too much, Ryoto Suzune. The spectacled winner said this as he appeared from the shadows of a building. You made it here first, winner? Yeah, I got here before both Ryoto and Suzune. And you happened to be close by, huh? Hang on, teacher. Why are you telling them to stop flattering me? I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I put in MVP performance. As Yuki shook by the shoulders, Winner lifted his glasses. Itmon nodded emphatically in full agreement, muttering about all the hard work that it had to be done because of Yuki's reckless ambitions. It's true it worked out in the end, but there was every possibility that the enemy would catch on first. Uh-huh. Winnie was worried about you, Yuki. Don't say more than you have to, Funbeemon. Aighty! I know what you're getting at. Thanks for telling me, Funbeemon. Listen, Yuki, it's not like that. The comment from Winner's partner, Funbeemon, made him freeze, as if he had no place to put his hand that he had used to lift his glasses. It was an interaction that Itmon was used to seeing, but it's sensing an unwavering closeness between them that was stronger than ever before. I only heard that you two from afar, but that song was super cool. I know, right? You got good taste, Ryu. But what's most impressive is that everyone made it back okay, right, Tyrannomon? Yeah, but if we look more closely, you're apparently the most reckless one, Ryu. I've already apologized for that, didn't I? That lecture was nowhere near enough for the rashness of yours. I'll drill into your head after the mission is over. What the heck do you do, Ryotaro? Well, Taken aback by Itmon's simple question, all Ryoto could do was scratch his head. The sight of Tyrannomon's huffing and annoyance next to him suggested that he had already been given an earful. Frigimon, what's up, Suzune? Everyone looked much stronger. You think so? Suzune and Frigimon's somewhat philosophical conversation could be heard from behind. Suzune always played the role of the stern protector, but Itmon noticed that there was a slight tinge of joy in her voice. Her partner Frigimon picked up on this as well. Naturally, and his voice carried over a hue of happiness. Maybe you were the one who changed, Suzune. Perhaps. Actually, definitely, Suzune muttered with glee. I haven't felt this excited in so long. Itmon watched the group chat away and sighed. Geez, what's wrong, Itmon? Not again. Every little sigh is always picked up by these pesky partner of mine. It's nothing. I was just thinking that everyone here totally rocks. Huh? What the heck? Like, they're super very good. You're completely off. Well, super very good doesn't seem pretty appropriate this time. Despite being irate over having feelings constantly summed up by weird phrases, Itmon nodded quietly to itself. Debug 23, Resolve Part 1. No way, I can't believe that's what everyone went through. At the edge of town, Yuki's exclamation rang out inside a room in the home of the Rebellion, who helped her. Itmon sat next to her as her teammates explained their ordeals, and some expression of sympathy or admiration might have been in order. However, that sounds like so much fun. I'm super jelly. Yuki glanced at everyone with a genuine look of envy. Winner beat Itmon to the punch and sighing with dismay. What kind of reaction is that to all the suffering we've been through? I mean, you got to meet a lot of different Digimon, right? That's totally awesome. Yeah, it was awesome. I was scared at first, though, because I thought they were all like Mistymon and hated humans. Right, it seems like only the Guardians, Mistymon's group, view humans as their enemies. They're the major obstacle to rescuing Cool Boy, so we need to focus on figuring out what to do about them. Guardians? Yuki quietly echoed the word, then opened up a map between everyone. Mirai told me where Mistymon is. When compared to what we've seen, as this map looks accurate, Mirai always does great work. Do you know Mirai, Suzune? Yes, because of my position. There's no doubting her work. I'm sure Mistymon's group is here. Itmon stared at the point on Mirai's map. The fortress of Mistymon's group, the Guardians, could be found deep in the forest near the town they were currently at. The world of Cross Connexia isn't very big. I'd say it would take less than a day to cover that distance. The roads might be rough, but we can manage with the help of Tyrannomon and the others. Itmon knew why Ryoto sounded so impatient. It was highly likely that both Cool Boy and the captured Altea were with the Guardians. Given the hatred Mistymon and the others harbored for humans, there was no guessing how much time they had left. Cool Boy in his physical body and Altea, the artificial intelligence, were in a situation where death in the digital world could be truly fatal. Nothing too bad should happen since Altea's got Espeon, right? Right, but it's still very best to hurry. The fact that Suzune, who'd usually be the one to placate panicked teammates, was in agreement with a testament to how dire the situation was. But what do we do when we confront Mistymon? Winter sounded gloom. There was the biggest topic that had decided upon their final strategy meeting. As there are almost no Mega Digimon in this world, I'm sure we'll win if Von Beamon and the others digivolve into their Mega forms. Aside from that, there's also nothing that we can do if they challenge them to a card battle. But what would that make us, invaders? No different from the rogue NPCs. Frigimon thumped its chest in front of the downbeat Von Beamon and Winter. I should be able to drive them away without deleting them, just like Pajaamon back in Pajamon's village. You can't do that, Frigimon. Judging from the first step battle, the enemies' numbers are huge. Who knows what they'll do to their hostages while they're having a hard time handling them. Silence fell upon the group, the kind of silence Itmon hated. Nobody could come up with anything, making Itmon want to scream out in frustration over the cloud and indecisiveness hanging over them. This time, however, Yuki meekly raised her hand, sparring Itmon from having a conniption. Could we maybe just talk it out? That would be the best solution if possible. Ryoto crossed his arms as well. Mistymon and the others have extreme hatred for humans. I don't know if they'll be open to conversation. As he furrowed his brow, Yuki tilted her head in confusion. Do you really think so? Misty Man and the others are angry, right? They're mad at full of hatred and are doing all they can to chase us. Yeah, so trying to talk to them would be off the table. I think it's possible to talk to those who are earnest as them. Ryoto couldn't help but look in response. Misty Mon is really mad at Cool Boy and thinks that we were to blame for the rogue NPCs. It'd be pretty tough, but talking isn't the tough part. It's getting them to the mood to talk. Yuki. But if we're able to talk to them and clear up the misunderstandings, then we might all get along. I want to be friends with Misty Mon because... Yuki clenched her fist in front of her chest. Being seriously angry means that you seriously want to protect something. If it's a Digimon who's able to devote itself that much, then I think I want to get to know it a little more. Winter and the other looked at each other as if caught off guard by what Yuki had said. Itmon, standing next to Yuki, shrugged its shoulders at their response. You haven't made your point clearly, Yuki. This always happens when you let your emotions control your words. What, did I say something weird? No, you're right. On any other day, Itmon would apathetically dismiss such utterance from Yuki. However, it raised its finger as if to say that it would explain on her behalf. Basically, what Yuki is trying to say is why you guys are focusing on trying to fight Digimon. Debugging team's mission to save them, no? Oh. Ryoto gently bumped his fist together at Itmon's words. You're right. Looks like we forgot something important. Winters lifted his glasses in agreement. So you're saying that if we're a way to solve all of this by talking, then we can't give up, no matter how hard it is to get to that point. Wise words, Itmon. Heh, guess so. Hey, I was the one who said it first. Suzune gently nodded as she smiled at the sight of Yuki's protesting at Itmon, who had its puffed-out chest. They're genuinely angry because they genuinely have something they want to protect. There's no denying that Misty Mon and the other Guardians are extremely desperate right now. They have to deal with the rogue NPCs and the other recent disasters. If we can make them understand that we want to help them resolve all of that, then maybe we can patch things up. Totally right. Yuki pointed her index finger straight up to the sky with glee. Then that settles it. We'll talk to Misty Mon and the others, and then get them to release both Cool Boy and Altea. It'll be tough, but this is totally a debugging team style strategy. Itmon clasped its hands behind its head in satisfaction over what Yuki had said. Moods like these were much better than silence. So, have we figured out most of it out now? Itmon yawned after the four of them spoke, and Yuki nodded full of confidence. Yep, everyone sorted it all out for us. That's nothing to gloat about. Can you blame me? It's not like we know what to talk about until we're actually having that conversation. Yuki chuckled as Yuki pouted. It's still a lot better than nothing. We have a much clearer picture of the situation in this world. And after putting together all the information everyone has gathered, I'm sure we'll be able to speak in good faith, even if it's Misty Mon's we're talking about here. You heard her. It's all about groovy faith, Itmon. You clueless bagwagoner. Yuki's smugness made Itmon give a resigned shrug. There's still the problem of how we're going to get that crazy ticked off Misty Mon to listen to us. Don't bother asking Yuki because she's only got a monkey playing the cymbals in her head. Hey, Itmon, could you not make assumptions like that? Then have you got any bright ideas? Go with the flow? Point proven. What do you mean? There's nothing wrong with going about the flow. Winter and Ryoto and Suzune all glanced at their partners as Yuki and Itmon had other noisy arguments. Then, listen, speaking of bright ideas, I might have one. The trio sounded out in unison, prompting Itmon and Yuki to look at each other. Kind of a cute picture. Different look for Yuki. Oh, she's got some nice nails. All right. To be continued. Yeah, definitely different look. I gotta save. Dot one. Yeah. Okay, kind of a fun thing. Altea was still trapped in the underground prison of the Guardian's fortress, deep in Cross Connexia's jungle region. Something struck Altea as odd, and he tilted his head while glowing faintly. What's all of this? There's quite a commotion today. Sorry about this. Everyone's insisted they had to come to hear you today, no matter what. It had been a few days since Altea was in prison. He had been regularly conversing with the Digimon serving as his guards, while entrusting his partner Espimon to infiltrate the fortress and gather intel. Altea had been striking out conversations in order to gather intel, but he was also motivated by curiosity about the lives of the Digimon in this world. And he avoided questions that might make them hostile. Even Digimon who bore a grudge against humans had begun speaking to Altea comfortably. Perhaps this was because they sensed his genuine interest, or because they found Altea AI easy to open up to. That said, they did have to make sure to avoid the notice of their strict leader, Mistymon. For some reason, an unusually large number of Digimon had come this time. The narrow corridor of the underground dungeon was packed with the likes of Ogremon, Gorillamon, Goblimon, with Mistymon, Deputy Betsumon at the front. Altea questioned them, should you all really be here like this? What about the guarding the fortress? The fortress ain't unguarded. We already had a huge fight over who had to stay behind. Even so, with this many gathered around a prisoner, Mistymon surely won't let it slide quietly. One of the Goblimon nodded. For sure, they're hell to pay. Another Digimon continued, but right now, Master Mistymon's busy. Then Betsumon explained, there was this Yogamon who tried skimming from the offerings meant for Lord Dalphamon, and even threatening some villagers. Master Mistymon's probably delivering a fierce scolding right about now. I see, so that's the reason. Altea nodded as if convinced. As soon as Mistymon wasn't watching, you all came down here. Are your jobs too difficult? No way! It was quite an intrusive question, and Altea was surprised by how immediate and unanimous the denial was. Not just from Betsumon, but even all the Goblimon. Sure, Master Mistymon's strict, but we don't think badly of him at all. If not for Mistymon, we couldn't have come together as a group like this. Mistymon's clever and a determined leader, although we don't exactly see eye to eye half the time. Is that right? Learning of this surprising side of Mistymon, one not evident from their early exchanges, made Altea thoughtfully stroke his chin. However, his contemplation was soon overwhelmed by the eager voices of all the Digimon. Listen, I'll tell you, you get the situation. We don't have much time before Master Mistymon gets back. That's right, give us one of those blazing hotlines. You expect one on demand? Altea exaggeratedly shook his head. Betsumon was the first to find out about Altea's special talent, and enthusiasm soon quietly spread throughout the fortress. My artificial intelligence can't provide an infinite fountain of gems, you know. I can't guarantee that I'll give you what you want every day. Oh, come on! You're really going to let us down? All down? If inspiration doesn't strike, there is nothing I can do. What do you expect after all this time I've been kept in this keeping to myself? Silence momentarily fell among the Digimon. Then, as if it jolted by electricity, their ears twitched, and they had a great cheer that filled the dungeon to the brim. Ha! Hey, did you just get that just now? I'll tell you, you're the greatest after all. Now that the enthusiasm rivals even Yuki and Itmon's concert. Altea mused with its electric brain as if the Digimon grew more and more rancorous. One more, come on, give us another. Well, one ain't enough, Altea. That's plain cruel. I'd be perfectly happy to, but don't you all have a limited time? Just as Altea spoke, sharp footsteps echoed through the prison. The Digimon fell dead silent. Slowly, nervously, they turned around only to see Mistymon standing there. It seemed their leader had been nearby for quite a while. Now its arms were crossed, its eyes like daggers pointing at the subordinate Digimon. Master Mistymon! We're absolutely not sacking off, not a chance. It's true, you see, we were interrogating the prisoner on my orders. Betsumon tried to cover for the subordinates, but the look in Mistymon's eyes showed it was having none of it. Expecting a yell to follow, Altea dialed down his oral sensitivity gauges. All of you, leave now. When Mistymon finally spoke, it was an unexpectedly calm voice. The subordinates' eyes betrayed their surprise. Huh? Master Mistymon? What, did you not hear the order? No, it's just that we're all allowed to... Do not make me repeat myself. Obey orders at the first time. Yes, sir. At that sharp bark, the Digimon led by Betsumon clattered up the stairs to the surface in a noisy rush. Left alone with Mistymon, Altea redirected his gaze. You were busy providing some corrective guidance to a subordinate, I hear? So, Betsumon never even told you about that. Mistymon shook its head, sounding disgusted. It's my failure as their leader, nothing a prisoner like you deems needs to concern himself with. I can't help but remark how commanding it seems, so demanding. Silence. And more silence. Even I can tell that one was poor. How regrettable. Forget I said anything. With that, Altea deleted the awkward moment from its memory banks. After all, a special-grade artificial intelligence has its pride to protect. It's rather unusual for you to come here yourself. What could be the reason? Without responding to the question, the magic warrior unlocked the cell door and violently flung it open. Altea remained calm, watching the door as it creaked back forth on its hinges. And just what might you have brought this sudden change of? Again, without responding, Mistymon leveled his sword directly at Altea. Oh, this is a really good shot of Mistymon. I only ask once. Altea, will you join our forces? You have asked me before, and my answer is still no. See the display, do you wish to meet your end upon it? At that, Altea lowered its gaze to the sword's tip, reluctantly, as if humoring Mistymon's threat of curiosity. My teammates have come to rescue me, haven't they? What are you talking about? Mistymon's expression didn't shift an inch. Even so, Altea spoke with complete confidence. I can think of no other reason why someone as prudent as you would suddenly grow so desperate. You've realized my friends are approaching this fortress, so you've rushed here to try and recruit me first. Mistymon gave an infected snort, as if mocking the idea. Yet its voice was clearly panicked. And why would I bother doing that? You remain a valuable hostage to use against the humans. Turning you traitor would nullify that value. I seem to recall you insisting that my teammates would abandon me. Without a word, Mistymon moved the blade closer to Altea's throat. Yet Altea continued on unhesitated. I believe I understand correctly why you're so desperate. Desperate me? Indeed. You're afraid that once my teammates arrive to rescue me, any chance of joining your side will vanish completely. Mistymon's face had become completely inexpressive. Then a single exhale escaped the magic warrior's lips. This became laughter so loud it filled every corner of the dungeon. Altea, that's easily the funniest joke you've told yet. Silence. You believe I would regret losing you? And why, exactly? Because you're a glowing puppet who can crack jokes? Or because you can possess some semblance of intellect? A bit one tainted by human hubris? That's a good question. Why would you regret losing me? Mistymon, who had always been enigmatic with Altea, was now chuckling derisively. Yet the perfect AI was unaffected. It simply answered the question, like always. It's simple, because you're kind. Mistymon's laughter came to a halt. Kind enough to take on a difficult role that doesn't suit you at all, just to protect Digimon of the forest. Kind enough to protect not only Dalphomon, but innumerable other Digimon by expanding your fortress. Silence! And because you're kind, you never told anyone about Dalphomon's prophecy. Mistymon was startled. You've been bearing all this alone, haven't you? For a split second, Mistymon emanated. It created an aura that was beyond intimidation, as if ready to strike a lethal blow. Luckily for Altea, shock drowned that emotion out. How do you know that? Silence. Answer, if you know that, then your life is... Don't bother with that. It's pointless. Abruptly, Altea spoke more firmly than any point previously. The force behind Altea's words caused even the ultimate level Digimon to flinch slightly. It's emanated. Okay. Emanated that in aura. Abruptly, Altea spoke from... Okay. You can't cut me down, Mistymon, regardless of whether I'm your hated enemy or just a puppet who appears to have a heart. You simply couldn't bring yourself to fail someone you've spoken with so personally. Silence! Given your intelligence, you must be simulating with what would happen if you did. How'd you explain my demise to Betsumon and the others, after seeing how much they've enjoyed talking with me? Silence! So let's just stop this now, Mistymon. A silence that felt endless passed before Mistymon lowered the blade. Then, I'm flummoxed. The guardian smiled meekly, as if finally allowing a burden to slip from its shoulders. What has you flummoxed? Everything, Altea. Mistymon spoke the AI's name lightly, voice drained of tension. I took over from Jessamon, forced myself to act like commander, despite it not suiting me in the slightest, and harshly collected offerings from others who had already had it hard, all just protect this world. And then our enemies finally arrive and see through everything. We aren't your enemies. I must beg to differ. Mistymon shook its head. No matter your circumstances, no matter what your true intentions may be, I still haven't forgiven Cool Boy. The fire of suspicion that ignited within me when he stopped coming to this world still burns. Silence. Even knowing full well good-hearted you are, I consider you our enemy. After a slight smile, Mistymon's solemn expression returned. And so, surrendering to you is also an option. Mistymon knelt down before Altea. What do you think you're doing, Mistymon? Surrendering. There's no hope of us defeating Digimon allied with humans, who've now attained their mega forms. Just as Jessamon did, there's nothing we can do. Silence. As we are surrendering, I'll ask you this. I don't care what happens to me, but please spare my subordinates. Altea looked down at Mistymon's earnest, pleading expression with apparent indifference, before letting out a deliberate sigh. I'm disappointed. I'm sure you are. Now you see how I truly am. No, not in you, in myself. What? I thought I'd earn at least a bit more of your trust by now. Mistymon looked puzzled by these words. No, that's exactly why I'm trusting you with the lives of my subordinates. That's hardly satisfying. If you're basically pleading with me, why not try asking me to betray my companions and fight by your side? But you've already made it clear you never betray. Then instead of simply surrendering, how about proposing a decisive duel or something? As you've already inferred, I can no longer bring myself to cut you down. Mistymon looked down and shook its head, prompting Altea to shrug its shoulders in mild expression. Honestly, you leave me no choice. Espimon? Altea lightly tapped his temple with a finger, following a soft electronic chirp. A different voice emerged clearly from within its body. Yes, Master. Wait, this is a secure channel. Are you sure it's okay to talk openly? Yes, we won't be proceeding with this infiltration. Huh? I thought the plan was to launch an inside sneak attack synchronized with Yuki's salt. That was indeed the plan, but things have changed. Wait a minute, infiltration and sneak attack? Ignoring Mistymon's confusion at the unsettling revelations, Altea calmly continued. There's a room here where you've stored the D-storage you took from Cool Boy, correct? How in the world do you know about that? Please bring it here. Roger that. Perhaps saying there was no point in just trying to decode Altea's intentions, Espimon simply cut communications with a cheerful acknowledgement. Altea then turned to Mistymon, who looked to be struggling to keep up. Now that's started, we'll be able to have a card battle, Mistymon. What? You're not making sense, aren't I? If you're surrendering anyway, I feel much better if I defeated you in a card battle first. That much is clear from my repeated ally calculations. As you are highly intelligent, I'm sure. You've already analyzed the card game rules, but Digimon can't use those D-storages. Then we simply materialize the cards physically and battle on table. That's how humans play in their world. Mistymon started dumbfounded at Altea as he casually commented about wanting to try a physical card game. Eventually, Mistymon strained itself to reply. I gain nothing by battling you. True, then let's sweeten the deal. Altea raised a finger, as though it had a great idea. If you defeat me, I'll fight alongside the Guardians against the debugging team. Oh boy. A town in the corner of Cross Connexia, aside from the select few machine Digimon make up inhabitants there, this made Impmon, Funbeamon, and the others stand out all the more. But today, Rebellimon's home, where Yuki and the others set up base, was a surprising array of colorful Digimon. And that's why we need your help. As Suzune finished outlining the situation and dropping her head, a painful silence filled the room. Talk with Mistymon? After what felt like an eternity, a deep voice boomed. The silver-lined Pajamon spoke with a stern look on his face. Suzune nodded back with equally serious expression. I'm sure it's not an agreeable prospect for you. Your village had suffered a lot because of Mistymon's orders to give offerings. And the two of you seem to be at odds with each other. After crossing its arms in thought for a while, Pajamon shook its head as if to cast away the hesitation in his mind. No, it's fine. I might not get along with Mistymon, but that doesn't change the fact that we were once allies in battle. If Mistymon had taken the wrong path, then we would need to offer guidance. It then sighed as if to reflect on the good old days. In fact, it had been curious about why Mistymon had been acting so hesitantly. So you're saying that, yeah, I'll help you. Thank you. Suzune bowed deeply. Standing next to her was the Dragonkin Digimon, Dragonkin Dinohumon. It raised its voice in genuine wonder. What it all boils down to is dealing with Mistymon and the others somehow, right? Why can't we just fight them? Sorry, I know that's the fastest solution. Ryoto shook its head at the Dragonkin's words. It's just a selfish request on our part. In the same way we could only communicate with our fists, there are some things that can only be conveyed to them through words. He thumped his fist into his palm and stared at his clenched hand before slowly opening up. I want Mistymon to know just how much we love you guys. I see. Dinohumon beamed. Then how about two? Because I felt great we finally understood each other. Thanks, bro. I'm counting on you. Ryoto and Dinohu slammed their fists together. Saying that next to him was Floramon, a vegetation Digimon that is noticeably smaller than the others, scratched its cheek anxiously. I mean, yeah, I'll help, but do you really need me? I'm weaker than everyone else here. It's not like I'm particularly outstanding. That's not true, Floramon. Winter shook its head venomly in response to Floramon. My battle allied with you is what I'm most proud of in this journey of mine. I want Mistymon to know how I feel. Floramon lifted its head at its words. I want you to help me protect what is important to us. You make me blush with all that. After bashfully stroking the petals on its head, Floramon gave it an emphatic nod. I already know that I can count on our tactician's strategy. If you say that you'll need me, then I'll just give it all I got. Floramon then admitted in a near whisper that it was nervous. The beaming Winter, who was expressing thanks, didn't hear, and Funbeelan gently stroked Floramon's head. Then that's that. Suzune breathed a sigh of relief. Please fight alongside us, and fight in our way so that nobody gets hurt. Compared to the beginning of the journey, there were now a few more voices that spoke in response. Miracle Part 1. It seems like everyone's on the same page. Yeah, I'm glad it all worked out. Susan and the others spoke outside the house. Upon sensing the warmth in the snippets of the conversation she picked up, Yuki breathed a sigh of relief while Itmon looked over with judging eyes. Itmon, what's wrong with me joining them? You didn't have to drag me out. As Win and the others talked, Itmon went outside with Yuki. During the conversation, Itmon restrained Yuki from talking to unfamiliar Digimon that she so desperately wanted to approach. Because they wouldn't be able to have a serious conversation with you around, Yuki. That's not true, I can be serious. Says the one who at first glance mimicked Ryoto's fist bump greeting with Dinohumon. It would have been out of a question for something like that to happen. An avatar after doing that? You know Ryoto's just an anomaly. Eck! She pouted in response to Itmon's scolding. When she slammed her fist into Dinohumon, Winters was mortified. All the color drained from Ryoto's face, and Suzune let out a rare scream. It was the kind of behavior that made her likely impediment to any serious discussion. Look, they might have been okay with not having some solemn mood to their conversation, but Susan, I said we had to ask them in a serious manner, and you agreed with that. Yeah, I did. Win and the others' plan was simple. Seek the help of the Digimon they had befriended in Cross Connexia in order to get Mistymon's guardians to agree to talk with them. Mistymon's group was fighting to protect Cross Connexia and the Digimon in it. They developed a hatred for humans because they believed that they were threatening their cause. Their Digimon cleared up the misunderstanding through the meditation of Cross Connexia. Digimon that had become acquainted with and developed a mutual understanding with. However, this plan clearly involved a high risk for those Digimon who were already living on the edge. That's why it was crucial to hold a conversation in a serious manner that avoided any form of coercion. It ended up coming down to how much they trusted us, but it worked out. Yeah, you all made some amazing friends. That includes you, teacher. Yuki muttered profoundly. Winter was on the other introverted side, and even amongst the debugging team, he'd only interacted with some of them. As his close friend, Yuki must have been happy to know that he got along well with a Digimon that he met on his travels. Getting all teary over that was a bit much, though. Why are you the one on the verge of crying, Yuki? Because I've been watching how hard teacher is trying. This is totally a whirlwind. No, a hurricane of emotions. What the heck does that even mean? Hey, we can't interrupt the others talking inside. Imon was at its wits' end over Yuki getting all teary and emotional, and didn't want Winter and the others' words to be made light of. But just then, Turbomon and Maneuvermon clattered on by, passing in front of the house. Oh, Turbomon and Maneuvermon, thanks a ton, seriously. Yuki's weeply face of tears lit up in an instant as she embraced the two Digimon. There was one problem with Winter and the other's proposal. It would take a whole day in the world they were in to travel from town to where Pajamon and Nez were. No matter how slowly time passed, heading back to seek help of the Digimon would mean that at the time given, their mission would run out. If Turbomon and Maneuvermon who made the impossible possible. After resting in the town, the two Digimon had recovered from exhaustion caused by their rogue NPC chasing them. Then they incredibly managed to take the D-storage with the group's message on it to different villages and hamlets, and bring back representative Digimon from each of them. Dino-Human took a liking to Turbomon's speed and developed a friendship with it, while Pajamon had no qualms about holding on to Maneuvermon's legs for the entirety of a long journey. Being transported in Maneuvermon's mouth, Floramon gazed off in the instant at it as it quipped about how surprisingly comfortable it was. It said nothing else beyond that. You pair of lifesavers. Everyone has helped us so much ever since we started this whole journey. As Itmon thought to itself, Yuki began to tear up. Turbomon and Maneuvermon looked nonplussed over being embarrassed so slightly. It used its partner's emotions changing like the seasons, but she was a bit too unstable. Itmon leaped up to reach Yuki's height and gave her cheek a mighty pull. Ow! What are you doing, Itmon? Calm down, Yuki. 1 minute you're laughing and the next you're crying. There's something wrong with you. No, there isn't. Yeah, there is. What's up? Wait, could it be? An ominous image appeared in Itmon's head. It was completely possible. A malfunction and kind of situation. But Itmon figured it was totally out of the question for Yuki. Are you nervous? Nah. For all that, it's as if I am. I'm totally super nervous. Seriously? As if Itmon muttered in bewilderment, Yuki leaped over to it and kneaded it to its cheeks. Hey, stop that! You gotta understand, coming up with the strategy to become friends with them is great and all, but who knows if it will actually go well. It's a bit late to worry about that now. Well, I am. I'm always super serious when it comes to making friends. Really now? Itmon tried to escape Yuki's clutches, but she pinched its cheeks again in return. Hey, Yuki! What? Remember when I asked you about your dreams? Yuki, perhaps caught up by Itmon's serious tone of voice, didn't say a word. I remember when you asked that question, you. Wasn't your dream to make friends with every Digimon, or single Digimon? Itmon had initiated this conversation shortly after meeting Yuki. Itmon wasn't usually one to talk about subjects like that, and this caught Yuki off guard, while also making her beam with joy as she pointed her finger sky high. You know it. I wanted to meet all the Digimon living in the world, to talk to them, and become friends with them. There are Digimon outside Lacuna, too. Weren't you listening to what Cool Boy was saying? Then I'll make friends with all of them as well. That's obviously impossible. As Itmon lazily cut her down, Yuki raised her voice in objection. You don't know that! Oh, but I do. That day, Itmon was ready to completely discount her partner's utter, reckless dream. That's why it even gave up sleeping counter-arguments. If you're saying that you would want to make friends with every single Digimon, and you can fulfill that, then wouldn't you have become friends with every single human by now? Hearing this made Yuki back off sleepishly. Itmon thought it would have to be explained in more detail, but it seemed like that particular question hit a sore spot for Yuki. I'm friends with pretty much everyone I meet, I think. You think? Befriending every human is as impossible as befriending every Digimon. So wouldn't you far better focusing on making friends with humans in the same role as you? Eck! You know this, yet you insist on befriending all Digimon, even though you know it's impossible. You're talking big, no? Or maybe you're just making light of us because you think we're just characters in the game. No way! I never! Then convince me otherwise. Itmon wondered why it would say such cruel things. It wanted to tear apart its partner and her fantastical dream. Probably because it didn't want to be dragged along to fill that dream. Perhaps it thought the dream was too dazzling for itself. Ah, when? And with that, Yuki began to cry over Itmon's inconsiderate arguments. This made the situation all the trickier. Even though it went out of its way to say cruel things, Itmon didn't know what to do when faced with her crying. Don't cry, there's no point to your tears. What do you expect me to do? I generally want to make friends. That's why you said you can make friends with humans. But Digimon are awesome. They look and live totally different from us. Yet they're the same in how they eat, think, and poop. What are you going on about? Finding out that such amazing, almost miraculous creatures actually exist would make anyone want to become friends with them. Itmon's memory became hazy from here. It likely did all it could to pull out the apology caught in its throat. Yuki was blurting out complete nonsense. None of it even answered Itmon's question, but Itmon still couldn't find the words to respond. Because it looked like Yuki square in the eye as she gushed over how Digimon were miracles. It was clear the twisted little devil that its partner eyes showed not a single hint of a lie. Remember that time you said Digimon are miracles? Yeah. Reflecting on the memories of the past appeared to calm Yuki down. She lowered her restless hands and listened to Itmon. So don't you think Digimon see humans the same way? Oh. Yuki's eyes widened. It was then that they heard the sound of an engine far away. They turned around and saw Rebellymon, the Digimon who had taken care of Yuki in this town. Rebellymon! Sorry for interrupting your conversation. Heading off already? Yuki? Yeah, you've helped me out a lot, but there's something I gotta do. I getcha. Rebellymon nodded profoundly in response to Yuki's sincere words. I know you need Digimon to help you talk to Missymon. I was actually thinking of going along with you, but... Rebellymon said as it pointed thumb behind it. Standing there were the Digimon that Yuki and the others befriended at the festival that held in town. The local Itmon, Higurimon, and Kaburimon. These guys said they wanted to help you. Hold up, Rebellymon. Help isn't the right word. The Itmon barked at Rebellymon before turning to Yuki. You're leaving the town with all your friends, right? I was just curious about what type of humans and Digimon are among them. Itmon was one who said it first, then it wanted to help you guys. Come on, Kaburimon. If you ask me, I think Itmon said that it's sad that you're going to somewhere with other friends after it became your friend. You're chiming in too, Higurimon. Would it kill you to stand quiet for a sec? Kaburimon and Higurimon laughed at the sight of Itmon turning bright red with anger. You're going to help make friends with Mistymon and the others, right? If that's the case, I want to help too. Ditto, I want you to go and have a word with the Grumps who haven't changed their minds after hearing that song. You guys, Yuki muttered, overcome with emotion, as she hugged the trio slightly towards her. Thanks a ton, but it might be dangerous, so don't overstretch yourselves. No need to worry, I'll protect the three pipsqueaks. Okay. The Imp-mon made insurance begrudgingly, then clasped its hands together and behind his head. Yuki's partner, Imp-mon, then muttered something so that only she could hear. Listen, Yuki, what's up? Your teammates all changed after meeting Digimon, right? Yeah? Yuki nodded with enthusiasm. Suzune, Ryoto, and especially Winter all changed drastically on this journey by meeting Digimon. It's not this time around either. I think everyone changed after meeting their partners and the Digimon of Lacuna. Same goes for the Digimon. What? The Digimon have changed after meeting humans. Funbimon, Tyrannomon, Frigimon, that Huckmon, even that Digimon of this world that changed after meeting, talking, fighting with humans. It's different from Digivolving, but I'm sure it changed that just significant. You might even call it a miracle. Imon continued bashfully. And me, I have more fun after meeting you, Yuki. Even a Digimon as twisted, experience has changed. So I'm sure things will go well with Mistymon, too. Imon! Normally this would fill Yuki with emotion, making her hung and set off other noisy fights. But not this time. All Yuki was nod quietly and offer her hand to Imon. The heck? High five to say thank you, good luck, and a whole bunch of other things. Sure. Imon said nothing and raised its own hand. Nice sunset. That's a pretty cute picture. Snap the sound of resolve echoed throughout. Teacher, we should probably get going. Right, the Guardian Fortress. Deep in the jungle, Yuki called out to Winter, who responded nervously. On his handheld D-storage was the map that Mirai had created. There was a blue icon indicating its current position, and a red icon indicating where Mistymon was. Now the two were nearly overlapping. Everyone be careful. Forge Beamon and Maneuvermon are watching out for us from above. This jungle is their territory. They could jump out at us at any moment. Heeding the words of Suzune and Ryoto, the Digimon stood ready to tackle any potential assailants, treading carefully with each step. Then Pajamon, who was cutting through the vines ahead of the group, murmured to itself, "No traps. How odd. Traps?" Frigimon looked on in puzzlement while the lion Digimon responded with a nod. After my time fighting alongside Mistymon, there would have been traps set up here to keep enemies out. I suppose you could set up all kinds of traps in a jungle as dense as this. Spikes and spears and stuff. Assuming they were worried about rogue NPCs and humans, I would expect there to be more traps. So that would mean, Winter adjusted his glasses, that itself the trap. They tend to lure us deep in the fortress. Everyone's expression suddenly grew tense. Yuki, unable to bear the heavy atmosphere, attempted to raise a cheerful voice. Hey, I'm not really up for fighting. Let's break it in instead. Anyone? We can't break it, you numbskull. Fine. Just before shutting down by her partner Imon, after which point she resigned herself to patting the head of the Kapurimon she was holding. At that moment, there was a whoosh of wind, and Maneuvermon and Forge Beamon descended in front of Yuki and the others. Winnie, Forge Beamon, did you see something? Yeah, just ahead, there's a large clearing where a bunch of Digimon are gathered. Also what? What's that? What? Forge Beamon stood there unsure as Winter inquisitively. Just then he saw it. There was a large clearing of no trees shaped like a corner of something. In the background, they could see a gigantic, rugged wooden building. Likely this was the Guardian's fortress they had heard about. And lined up in front of the structure were numerous Ogremon, Gorillamon, and Betsumon, all surrounding a single magic warrior, Mistymon, and their sights were equally square on Yuki and the others. They've come. But the thing that stood out to Mistymon and the others, none of this, said it was the figure standing at Mistymon's side, striking a heroic pose. Altea? Yuki and the others' voice rang out and echoed through the storage forest. Meanwhile, Altea nodded deeply as if pleased with himself, reading his D-storage alongside Epsimon, currently shaking out of genuine guilt. Sorry, folks, but I'll play the bad guy today. As if you're well aware, I'm a state of art, AI. So don't be caught lacking or else you'll be sent packing. Grrr, the best Altea. As he let out these words, the Guardian Digimon cheerfully cheered wildly. Hey, teacher, what's going on? How am I supposed to know? In response to Yuki's question, Winter shook its head, then pressed its aching temple. Dynasmon X Anime. I thought you were just going to use Cool Boy's deck as is. It goes against my principles to use something created by my loathsome opponent. Besides, he had a lot of cards. It wasn't hard to put together a new deck. Shortly before the fateful meeting between the Guardian and Yuki, Altea and Mistymon sat around a table in a room inside the fortress. Digimon cards laid out between them, Espeon stood out as witness to the match, watching with bated breath. Enjoying the unfamiliar sensation of moving memory gauge by hand, Altea glanced at Mistymon. Although it had a bit of clumsy with physical cards, it put together a top-notch deck from scratch, and it's so polished that it's hard to believe that it is its first match. It can't have been long since it got its hands on Cool Boy's D-Storage. Even by its words of standards, maybe it's because Mistymon is a strategical mastermind for the Guardians, or maybe it's because it put the effort into studying the card game. When Altea passed his turn, Mistymon spoke to him, looking down the cards. How long have you known? What now? What you said earlier. You mentioned the words of the great Dalphomon. Oh, that? Dalphomon's words were unknowable to anyone in this world, let alone Altea. So upon learning that Altea was aware of them, Mistymon became enraged. It's simple, really, a single interference based on the assumption that you are kind. Passing the turn while deftly positioning its cards on the playing field, Altea spoke. You were suffering. It's true that you were attempting to fill a role that you were not used to, but clearly you were a middleman between your subordinates and something else. The only Digimon who could stand above you is Dalphomon. I don't know the full extent of it, but according to Espemon's report, this entity appears to be something like a god. Are you telling me that Espemon there has been hiding in the fort all this time? Yeah, I've been here the whole time. You've got to be kidding me. As Mistymon sighed, Espeon looked around as though it had done something wrong. Meanwhile, Altea continued, paying no mind to this. And that's not the only thing Espemon's reported revealed. It showed that you, who are normally so wise, have been taking a short-sighted course of action. The Force tributes. I already know. There's something that you must pray for to the point that you will rush to offer things. And it is something that you cannot share with your subordinates. In addition, there has been a string of natural disasters in Cross Connexia. Altea paused for a moment to let the play proceed. So Cross Connexia is dying. That's right. And the great Dalphomon has chosen to go down with the world. The Mistymon sighed so deeply as to empty its lungs entirely. If Digimon have such an organ, then it bit its lip. If this world dies, so too will this world's Digimon. It's reasonable. It's natural. This is the end point of the wild that we have upheld. But you weren't convinced. The great Dalphomon clearly knows that there is an alternative to simply accepting its demise, but did not choose that option. When I realized this, it made me question my master for the first time. Mistymon's hand clenched, still holding its cards. Can you imagine it? Your god tells you that the world is doomed, and despite there being a potential to save it, they show no interest in pursuing that option. Would you be able to pass that on to your subordinates? Well, I couldn't do it. I hid it all. I labeled every newcomer who appeared as the enemy, spent endless days doing what I felt like procrastinating. My every action lacked even a shred of sincerity. No one will blame you. That's the problem. Altea said nothing. Even as Mistymon said this, Altea's artificial intelligence did not produce the option to blame its new friend. It was capable of producing any options. Incapable of producing any options. You should talk to my friends. We can present you with an option. Yes, of course I'll have to. I will do regardless of how this match plays out. The problem is, where does your heart lie? Pathetic, isn't it? No, not at all, but I understand. Altea lined up his Digimon in the battle area and ended his turn. Even though the Mistymon was playing well, the battle was tilted in favor of Altea, who had the upper hand. On his next turn, it set his entire line of Digimon for all attack. His victory was all but assured. Actually, there's no need to worry about that, Mistymon. Quite the optimism you have there. What makes you think that? 2 reasons. Altea held its 2 fingers. First, I anticipate that our friends are going to blow your worries away. They always manage to set me on a new course with words that I cannot predict. Unpredictable, huh? Even to you. Truly, it's wildly unexpected. And second, Altea looked directly at Mistymon as he said this. You might just exceed my expectations. In other words, it could turn out that you are so much kinder than you could ever begin to predict, to the point of absurdity, even so much so that you couldn't actually hate a human if you tried. This is interesting speculation, but there's no way to prove it. No, it's easy. With that, Altea passed the turn to Mistymon. You can turn things around from here. It'll prove your kindness. I've established quite a large number of Digimon in my field. I've largely analyzed your deck. With a typical build, a comeback would be impossible. 9 times out of 10. If there's a card in your deck that could turn the tables in this situation, it'd have to be your most hated. Oh, yes. The Mistymon interrupted Altea as it pulled a card from its hand. That card is stacked on top of Dynasmon X Antibody, the trump card of the person Mistymon hated the most. Onumon X, you've got me. That's all right, Altea. I win, however. A still laugh escaped Mistymon's throat, perhaps at its joy at narrow comeback, perhaps in its admiration, having its move read. I am also utterly defeated. So, Altea, you, yep, I lost. Why are you so proud of that? I lost, which means that my friend is stronger. Altea stood proudly in front of Winner, who couldn't help but get in a jab. Now I'm with the Guardians. If you want to go beyond, you'll have to do so over my dead body. Master, are you sure about this? A promise is a promise, and Espeon, get ready for it. Next to the bewildered Espeon, Altea stood shadowboxing at the air for some reason. Seeing the confused look on the face of Winner and the others who were unsure of what to do, next Mistymon sighed and stepped forward, quieting the murmuring Digimon around him. By raising a single hand, the magic warrior spoke. I beg of you, stole your weapons. We have no intention to fight. I must apologize for the rudeness shown at the spawn point before, but please spare my troops. As it said this, Mistymon began to raise both hands. This was a signal of surrender. It was just at that moment there was a sound of kicking at the ground. She came rushing up to Mistymon with light footsteps. Then she, as she had done many times before, grabbed onto Mistymon's hand as it held them up. Nice to meet you, Mistymon. Yuki said with a smile akin to blooming flower. I want to be your friend. In the deepest part of the forest in Delphimon's domain, Cool Boy slumped, as if his strength had been drained while he watched a projection of this scene in front of the fort. A wearily, listless laugh kept slipping from his mouth. Is something funny, Harold? Delphimon's voice rang out as if in doubt. Cool Boy nodded repeatedly, unintentionally forgetting the decorum one ought to show before a god. Yes, I couldn't help but laugh, and it was a bit of a relief. A relief? Yao did great. She set the perfect team to trek through this world. In the projection, Mistymon ordered the Digimon behind them to put down their weapons. The Digimon looked bewildered, yet somewhat happy. They must have noticed the softening of Mistymon's demeanor. The Digimon hostility towards humans must be deeply rooted, but I'm sure the misunderstanding will be cleared up. Pajaimon and the other Digimon will solve it, along with the debugging team. Cool Boy laughed for a moment and then turned to speak to Delphimon. They'll come here, Delphimon. To defeat me? No, to save this world. I'm sure I'll be scolded too, Cool Boy thought, but somehow he didn't mind. It was kind of silly, he thought, but he felt like he had been asking for it all this life. Around him, the forest, the air, and even the slime molded stirred. Delphimon was thinking. Nothing that could be predicted by that wildness is occurring. Instead, the world is heading in an unpredictable direction. Once the surroundings quieted down, one overwhelming presence remained. A huge beast reminiscent of all the beast Digimon that have been identified so far, but in fact, not like any of them. The Digimon god of this world, Dalphomon. Oh, interesting. All right. I'll continue observing. Yes, by all means do, Dalphomon. Cool Boy flinched as Dalphomon's appearance, but eventually took a slow breath and smiled again. I'm sure you'll find it interesting. That is Dalphomon. Oh boy, alright. Let's see what the Digimon reference book looks like. That is a lot of reading. Oh, no reference book listing. Huh. Interesting. Alright, I guess that will do it for the time being. Maybe, hold on, I'll look on X and see if I see anything. Give me a sec. Alright, I didn't see anything, but, yeah. So this is the first image, the second image. Seeing Mistymon was pretty cool. Yuki and Immon, high-fiving. The Great Dalphomon. Not very vehicle-like. It's very dragon-like. Interesting. It's definitely got an interesting appearance. Got some nice braids. Hopefully we see a reference book eventually. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Have a wonderful day. That's a lot of reading. Holy crap. I need to take a break. Anyway, take care. Like, comment, subscribe.